Starting at number 4, this guy's very polarizing, I think. His film was very polarizing. That's going to be Jalen Milroe from Alabama. The games I watched of him was Oklahoma, Georgia, Tennessee. By the way, I watched like 3 full games for every player, and then like I'd watch a little bit of some other games, not like the whole game throughout. That's why I didn't put them down, but just a little bit, just to see if like some of the things I was saying about them worked out in games where things were really weird or different. But in general, I watched 3 full games from each guy. And then also I watched the entire college football season, as many games as I could watch while it was happening, just because I'm a college football fan. At a glance for Jalen Milroe, he actually has an arm at an A because he's got a pretty powerful arm and he's got some releases. And I saw him throw with some touch, but more than anything, that A is for his throwing power. Athleticism, also an A, not quite an A+. I don't see him being like I see like Lamar Jackson as an A+. He's not quite Lamar Jackson, but an A is very solid for him. Quarterback IQ I have at a C+. Accuracy is in general a C, but his short is a C+. His intermediate is a C. His deep ball is a B-. That was probably the best ball he has in his bag. And his general playmaking is a B. And here is what I had to say about Jalen Milroe. Extremely polarizing film. I'd start by saying Milroe is more of a game-by-game player rather than a play-by-play. He looked like the complete package against Georgia and LSU, and like an undrafted player against Oklahoma and Michigan. The first notable trait of Milroe is his athleticism. He'll easily be the most athletic quarterback in this class, which will be valued high by a lot of teams. While his speed, running strength, and shiftiness are impressive and on par with a Jalen Hurts, I was disappointed with his downfield vision as a ball carrier. He left a lot of meat on the bones with poor cuts, essentially running into defenders. I do think that he mostly understands the option game well, when to pull and when to give. I also think his arm strength has been underrated in this class. He may have the most powerful arm in the class. He had a 30 to 40 yard zip to a receiver in a seam against Oklahoma that was very impressive and noteworthy, which showed that his ball stays hot deep. It also flies out really fast in quick game. This power is at times a disservice to himself, however. He tends to throw difficult to catch balls in the short game, lasering them into his receiver's hands for no good reason. In general, his short accuracy was quite spotty at times. Milroe's accuracy wasn't very good, but he did show on occasions that his ball placement isn't always bad. I'd honestly say his best ball is his deep ball. His throwing technique is also quite high-strung and less fluid than it needs to be to differentiate types of passes as well. His feet can be all over the place at times. Milroe was kind of all over the place when it came to pocket presence and coolness. He at times demonstrated poise against the blitz, dumping it off to his outlet or scrambling out for good yards, or absolute panic and mayhem. He does a good enough job of keeping his eyes upfield while scrambling. It's just spotty whether or not a pass will be a completion. While I've seen him make multiple reads in a play, on designed, predetermined reads, he shows an inability to change his mind, which has costed him a few turnovers this season. I also think he did a good job of hanging in the pocket when given the opportunity, rather than the clock in his mind going off and running. This may seem unfair, but I do want to point out that a lot of Alabama's miscues on offense weren't as much Jalen Milroe's fault as believed. The play calling was poor at times, whether it be the spacing on deep passing concepts, or the absolute determination to run QB draw after QB draw, or even a plethora of drop passes, especially by their tight end. Overall, it's tough deciding how I feel about Milroe as a whole. It also depends what Milroe will be drafted. Will it be Georgia Jalen Milroe, or will it be Oklahoma Jalen Milroe? Because those are two seemingly different players entirely. Regardless, the lack of consistency he shows in his film overall really concerns me. However, I believe he's a better player than given credit for overall. How he is valued as a prospect is completely team determined. I could see a QB-needy team with an older coaching staff taking a gamble on him early and believing they could work with this issue to reach his upside. I could also see a distinct fear in receiving Oklahoma Milroe and not seeing it as worth it to take him anywhere earlier than the 4th round. It truly depends on the staff of the team that would draft him. So I think that, pretty much gave a good idea of how I feel about Milroe. I don't have much of an idea about Milroe because this isn't like every other player that's, high ceiling but really low floor, gonna need a lot of work, because a lot of guys that are typically like that, let's say Anthony Richardson, it was more of a play-by-play thing rather than a game-by-game thing. It was like he might throw an 80-yard bomb this play, and then the next play he'll throw an interception on a short stick route or something. I didn't really see that as much with Jalen Milroe. When he was on during a game, he looked really good. It was just those specific games where he looked like dog water. The other thing that makes this tough is it's not like he played really well against bad teams and then played poorly against good teams, which makes sense. A lot of times it was the exact opposite. He beat up on Georgia and looked like the Heisman frontrunner and like the best player in the country, and then lost to Vanderbilt in a very bad game. One of my ideas for Jalen Milroe, and this is kind of just like a pipe dream I came up with that I thought would be sweet, and it's too late for this, but I'm going to say it anyways because I think it would be fun, and I did it in Madden, and that was pretty fun. I was kind of envisioning that since Todd Monken was one of the coaching candidates, head coaching candidates around the league. Obviously now he's committed to staying in Baltimore, but since he's one of the head coaching candidates, I was thinking, hey, what if he went to the Saints and then the Saints drafted Jalen Milroe either in the first or second round or whatever, backed him up behind Derek Carr and slowly integrated the Lamar Jackson Baltimore style offense, allowing for a quarterback run game. I thought that would have been pretty sweet. Now the Saints have since committed with Kellen Moore as their head coach, who worked with Jalen Hurts. So I could see that playing into effect still. I could still see them at some point maybe drafting Milroe. That was one of the destinations I liked a good bit. In terms of player comp, I don't really have one. I mean, you could maybe say Anthony Richardson's somewhere near there. If you want a player comp, you're just going to end up finding any other really athletic quarterback that isn't very good. But like I did say in this write-up, I don't think we need to just completely write off Jalen Milroe because of poor film here and there. I think he has a really high ceiling. Like I said, his arm's very powerful. Along with it is the athleticism. And we did see full games where he looked complete. It's the bad games to me that are making it tough to decide what to do with Jalen Milroe.